Hi guys, I'm here with my friend Megan from the UK, and we thought of sharing with you what we think of the things we wish we knew about Australia before coming to Australia. Kind of like an expectations versus reality check. So, number one, we thought it would be finding work. What do you think about that, Megan, finding work?
I thought it would be a lot easier than what it was. I think I expected, a couple of weeks, maybe up to a month, like trying to find something, anything. But it was a lot harder than what I expected, and I think that goes for a lot of people I've met as well along the way. Like it takes a few months to find a job, especially like if you've got visa restrictions. Companies aren't as willing to take you on because you're only able to work 6 months, for example. So unless you're going for a 6-month contract, I think I didn't realize you wouldn't be able to get a full-time job either. Like a lot of places you can't really get full-time, it's more permanent. It's more just contracted jobs unless you're going to get sponsored. So I think I would find that out really early. If you're doing interviews and things for a company and you're able to get sponsored, I would definitely try to find that out during the interview process if that's something that they're able to offer at some point. Or as a company, if they're able to. Because I think you kind of expect every company to be able to sponsor. I don't know if you thought the same, but it definitely is not the case. That there's a lot of companies that aren't set up to sponsor or just aren't willing to sponsor. Make sure you're asking the right questions at the start, in the interview processes. And when you're going for jobs, like make sure you're clear on what they can offer you in the future, if possible. Or it might even just be a generic question, like does the company offer, like does the company do sponsorship? Might not even be like asking for it directly yourself, but just seeing if they do sponsor as a company. If they've got any other employees that are sponsored or from the UK or Spain or anywhere.
What about making friends in Australia? Was it easy for you to make friends? What was your expectation and the reality of it?
I think expectation, I just thought it would be the same as where you're living, right? But then I suppose, I don't know, I think maybe a lot of people grow up with friends or, make friends from when they're little and then that's the friends that they've got. And I think when you think about it, you probably haven't necessarily made a new friend in a while, right? So I think that was quite a big difference, because I think you expect to meet a lot of people quickly, but it doesn't happen like that. I think a lot of the time if you're meeting people that are also traveling or coming over on a working holiday or anything, a lot of because we're all very similar in terms of our mindset, that we all invite people to our friends' events, right? I think it's kind of good like that, because you kind of make friends through friends. I think that's how a lot of people do it. But I think you do have to put yourself out there. You've got to be a bit of a yes person when you first arrive, and if someone's asking you to, you might not feel like doing something, but I definitely think you have to say yes to a lot of things to make sure you're meeting a lot of different people. Because otherwise it can be quite a hard place to meet people.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, feel the same.
Especially trying to find people that are doing the same things that you like to do, right? Because I think it's easy to find people that you want to go out partying with. But maybe it's harder to find people that you want to go camping with, or chill at the beach, or I don't know, running or whatever. Everybody has different things that they like to do, but it's hard to make friends and also connections with people.
Yeah, that's right.
On a deeper level.
And the older you get, I think the hardest it gets as well.
100%.
And there's another factor, people have different work schedules, and they might not be off when you are off, and that really affects the time you get to spend with them, and building the relationship with them. So
and also I think just because you end up making different friends from, I guess, different cultures and things as well, and also like you say, everybody has different schedules and jobs. So it's kind of a lot of your friends, they could have normal 9 to 5s, they could have shift work, they could have work in a cafe. It is hard, and a lot of people are living different lifestyles because they're different. They're doing different things, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're working in a cafe, you might finish at 12, and then you've got the whole day to chill out and go to the beach, whatever. And then your other friend is working till, I don't know, 5, 6 p.m. or whatever. You know, you meet a lot of different people.
Yeah, that's true. Did you think you'd love Australia this much, or what was your expectation? Did you think it would be like a temporary situation? You'd come for a year and go home, or what was your expectation at the time?
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it to love it as much as what I do. Like 100%. I think I always knew I wanted to travel, so I basically started traveling when I was 25, 26, and my plan was to end in Australia, but for a year.
Yeah.
Like, probably not even working that much. Like, my sort of thought process was to travel a lot of Australia and maybe work in a cafe, like going from place to place, you know.
Yeah.
Granted, when I arrived, it was COVID, so it couldn't have gone that way anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really did not expect to love it as much as I do. So I think I wish I would have prepared myself a little bit better for that, because, you know, I've been here for 5 years now, and it never gets easier in terms of like missing your family.
Yeah.
You know, so I wish I would have mentally prepared for the fact that maybe I was going to fall in love with Australia and want to stay permanently.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So, what advice do you have for people that are wanting to come to Australia, and even if they're like travel-minded, they just want to stay temporarily? Do you think it's wiser to get more prepared in case they eventually want to study?
Yeah, for sure.
Like doing what? What should they do?
I think they need to. I definitely would say if they have a set career already, see if it's something that is you're able to get sponsored in Australia. Like, basically find your route. Find however it is that it's possible for you to stay, if that's what you want to do, and know it before you're here. Like, don't just arrive and just, you know, go, see what happens, go with the flow. Figure out your route before. Like, if there's you know, particular industry that you've already got experience in, or maybe you've got a degree in, that's your route.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of places, like, you need a degree, a lot of visas, you need the degree with years of experience. So I would come with that mindset, because then when you're here, you can continue building that experience to eventually, hopefully, get you sponsored if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, what Megan is saying is like so important. So many people come here thinking they will stay for just 1 year or two, and that they'll be cool about it and will be happy with that. But actually, the opposite happens. They love Australia so much because it grows on you so much, and you love the lifestyle, that you just want to stay here. Won't say forever, perhaps, but for much, much longer. And they are able to, because there's literally no opportunities for people that do not have a university degree, unless, of course, there are a few exceptions, you are willing to work on the very highly demanded skills, such as like being a carpenter, plumber, electrician, so like what they consider being a tradie, so handyman in the UK. Yes, with those ones, as long as you've got at least, I think, 3 years experience, or is it 5 years experience, I'm not sure, it's easy for you to get a sponsored visa and perhaps PR later on, and then you stay in Australia. But if your job is more white collar jobs and you have no degree, forget it.
It's hard. Unless you've got years experience. If you've got 5 years experience doing what you're doing, it's possible. Yeah. But if you've got experience in lots of different fields, different industries, different jobs, it's quite hard to get sponsored. So
make sure you have either 5 years experience or a degree, or both. The more the merrier.
Yeah, for sure, both is better.
Anything comes to mind that people should prepare for?
I didn't expect, I guess weather-wise, I didn't expect how extreme their weather can be. I kind of expected it to be sunny a lot, and the majority of the time it'd just be like nice and chilled and just, you know, beautiful all the time. But it's not always like that. Obviously, we live in Sydney, so I guess I can only speak from living in Sydney. But you know, we've had like floods sometimes. Like, the weather's been so bad, it's like flooding. And also the drainage system in Sydney is just awful. Like, really awful. So it floods if there's like I think it rains, like, gets super heavy rain, right? So and obviously there's bushfires, and it can get like really hot and muggy. And also, like, the housing is just not built for cold weather as well. So the winters is like absolutely freezing in the houses. Like
Yeah.
they are thin. They're built for the hot weather. So in summer it could be great, but winter it is cold.
Yeah.
Like colder than what it is in the UK.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the houses themselves, there's just none of them have heating. So there's no like, radiators or anything that you would think.
Yeah. I agree.
They could possibly have. Like, not all of them have aircon. It's actually pretty rare to get aircon in your apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I feel like the housing just isn't equipped for the different types of weather that we get.
Yeah, true. And like what Megan said, she can only talk about Sydney because that's where she lives and that's where I live too. But of course, if you pick another part of the country, perhaps if you go to the remote areas in the interior where it's really hot in summer, it might be a bit different. If you go to Perth, it's another story. But still, I think the weather is pretty extreme overall all over Australia.
I mean, it's amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
Obviously, it's so much better than...
Get ready for that.
Yeah.
What about the culture? Is there anything that you're missing from the UK in terms of culture, or anything people should be prepared for when they come to Australia?
I think I think the nightlife is very different.
Okay.
Which I didn't expect. Started diving straight into nightlife, but if you're a big partier, I don't think that necessarily Australia is probably the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it definitely has good nightlife as well, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I think a lot of places close earlier. Like a lot of places close around midnight or 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to find places that stay open till late.
So true.
Yeah, and also if it's busy, if it's not busy in a bar or in a pub or somewhere, they'll close early without letting you know. So you could, you might go somewhere because you think it's open till 1 a.m. and because they're quiet, they closed at 12, so you're not able to get in, or something like that. Also, the security is like super strict here as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to turn up to a bar or a club. They're just a lot stricter. They think that you've had one too many.
Yeah.
They won't even let you in. I think a lot of people have to prove, don't they, that they're not drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you gotta prove that you're not drunk.
2 drinks or something, they're still questioning you, and they just won't let you in. And so, they won't just go off if you look older. Like, ID is everywhere, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
But it is ID everywhere.
I think that's also to prevent fights, probably.
Yeah, 100%.
Or at least if there's a fight, they know they have the identity of everyone who was at the club, so they can easily find the person.
Yeah. Which is, it's all a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's just different.
It's just very different. Yeah, the vibe is different.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
It's very different. I think that it's very much like an outdoorsy, early start, early to bed type of culture.
Mm-hmm. What about the food? Do you think people should be prepared for any differences in terms of like what they find in the supermarket or when they go out? Is that very different compared to the UK? Do you think there's going to be a culture shock?
I wouldn't say there's a culture shock. I think it is quite similar. I think maybe supermarkets there's not as much variety as what you get in the UK. So I think you're not going to find everything that you get back in the UK over here, which is pretty standard. But I think in terms of like restaurants and things like that, everything's pretty similar. The only difference is takeaways for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get a good Chinese or a good Indian the same as what you get back in the
yeah.
It's different styles.
Different, yeah. I think the UK is amazing in terms of food.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of what it offers, it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's so many cultures there, so many people cooking different. I remember like I even found like Persian restaurants in Afghani like really easily in London.
Yeah.
In Australia, you gotta go to very specific neighborhoods in Sydney. You gotta catch a train or drive there. It's like 30 minutes away. So you won't find your typical Indian that easy either. True. It's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
And then, sorry. I was going to say, and they're also more into healthy foods, especially in the eastern suburbs. It's all about avocados and quinoa and
It's not really that healthy, but
I know. They're kind of like modern. I call them contemporary foods. Yeah, they're kind of like uppercoming and all the brunch style foods as well. So it's a lot about brunch as well in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. I think these are the things that come to mind right now since we're driving to Perth in our road trip. Of advice that you can get from a person from the UK. Yeah, so without further ado, let's meet again next time. Bye.
Bye.